they've defended their ace X. So we give it up, and we fold sixes, 35x deep to 2.5. Yeah, I think this is a fairly poor call. If I make it, I think we want to just be protecting our stack rather than calling and kind of calling the flop bet and giving him just opening ourselves up to how he wants to play the turn. I prefer to kind of take a nitty line here. I mean, we're on the borderline, I suppose. If he had a similar stack to us, I mean, we could think about calling, but I'm fairly happy to just let these situations go. I mean, we're just going to have to fold to a squeeze as well. So, yeah, we let the sixes go. And there is a six. And king, queen holds. We fold both of these. I'll try and speed it through the hands I'm not taking part in. Here we open the ace queen and we get 3-bet in the cutoff. This guy's, I looked through his hand history and he's played fairly aggressively, I think, so I'm just going to get his stats up and have a look at kind of how aggro he is and therefore like what our approach should be with a hand as good as this. Okay, and we're back, and here are Swarm Enemies stats, only 100 hands, but from what we can see, fairly aggressive, especially cut off and button, which is where we are with the ace-queen. Fold to 4-bet, only a couple of examples, so can't really read too much into that. So I guess the question to ask here is, how do we get the most money in, and sort of what is this guy's... How is he going to react to a 4-bet from us here? Like, I think we can go one of two ways. We can either kind of call here, play the lowest variance and kind of keep his range the widest and not give him any credit. And yeah, like he can pretty easily just go barreling off. So that's one option. The second option is we 4-bet here. And I mean, his range is pretty obviously wide here. So how is he going to view my 4-bet? I mean, we haven't been crazy. We've been relatively active, but again, not crazy. And does he expect me to be 4-bet folding a lot? Possibly. Does he therefore want a 5-bet fold, or is he just going to give me credit? So I think that like we've got a lot of options here. I mean, 4-betting to 6-bet shove is definitely a pretty fine option. We can get say 1400 from him. We're going to probably be making it something like 1200 here. He's going to probably make it somewhere around 2.1, and then we could shove. So with our stack, I think that's a pretty fine option. I decided to flat, which I think is fine too. Obviously, like I think, yeah, there's a pretty good chance he's just going to be give us credit, or think that we're probably like just widening our value range based on sort of how aggressive he's been. And like, I don't think he's going to expect us to make too many tight folds. So if we do decide to click this back with like an ace-10, ace-jack suited or something, it's probably not with the intention of giving him credit if he just clicks it back against us. So yeah, so what this all kind of boils down to is how likely is he to 5-bet? And I think that he's going to probably be making a lot of these small 3-bets and maybe giving us credit at least, or assume that we're stubborn enough that we're not just going to be folding to any more clickbacks that he makes. So I decided to just call here. We get the perfect flop, so we obviously just want to be check calling. Again, thinking about how wide his range and how like we could have him pretty much drawing dead here. So I just don't think we really get much spew by check raising here. Again, I think he's going to have the same thought process of I'm just probably widening my value range as to what I'm going to get in here. So like good flush draws and queens and what have you. So yeah, I just don't think based on his likely equity here that he is going to be loving it too much if we do check raise here, and he's probably just going to give up. So again, I just think it's better to check call and let him continue, excuse me. So he double barrels and pretty good sizing, hopefully looking for him to be setting up a river shove. So again, we just call. And there's a few hands definitely in our range here that we could be check calling twice, and he may assume check folding the river, like a kind of any 8 to jacks. He may think we'd be taking that line with maybe non-nut flush draws. I mean, maybe nut flush draws too. So I think there's like he could reasonably shove this river and expect a few of our hands to fold, but obviously we're not going to be folding, and we do, and he does shove, and luckily for us, we have the best hand and double up. I meant luckily for us that he shoved more than luckily for us we have the best hand, as I think given his sort of stats and sizings and stuff, we're just obviously never folding there. So we open the ace queen suited again and get folds. We'll see what happens to ace7 off. So I mean, I see a lot of people defending these kind of hands this deep stacked, but I mean, I don't really want to be playing that position with a bluff catcher from pre-flop, so I guess I'm kind of in the less peewee category from the blinds in these spots. I mean, I think that this is a pretty good player, and I just don't really think that we're just going to be printing money by defending a hand like this. Okay, we're getting a good price now, but I think we're going to be kind of, I mean, I think it's probably fairly old school thought, but we're just going to be in a lot of awkward situations, and I don't really think that that's changed. Maybe people are kind of a bit more opening wide enough ranges that they're going to be barreling once and kind of giving up, especially to how stubborn people are in the big blind. But this deep, I just think that we're really asking for trouble, so I just give up and let my one big blind go away. Here we open the king 10 off and the big blind folds. I think I must have just been either not looking at the screen or just happy to raise call. I think that this stack raise calling is the way to go. King 10 is certainly good enough to do that. But I think shoving's fine also. So, but we do decide to raise call. But he does fold. So here with the ace jack suited, we open, and this is a pretty strange spot. When he flats here with this stack behind, I think it still could be hands that we have good equity against. He may feel that this flat is strong enough for him to not need to shove with a hand like 6s, 7s, 8s, something around there. Maybe a kind of ace 10 suited he could decide to flat here. I mean, I think it's kind of more likely to expect somebody to shove over the top of this, but thinking about what we're going to be doing with kind of this basically exact hand, this really puts us in an ugly situation even when he flats. So there's no real need for him to be shoving here with, say, an ace 10 that he thinks is ahead of this guy's range enough to call with. Because we're just, like, if I have ace 9, it's a pretty easy fold. If I have ace 10, it's pretty ugly. And we're kind of in an equally ugly spot here with ace jack suited. I think this is kind of the worst. What am I trying to say? Anything worse I would fold pretty happily, but this is kind of, it has to be a hand this good for me to kind of consider continuing. I think getting 2.8 to 1 here I can just about call, given the number of hands I think that we could be doing okay against this guy with. I don't think there are too many kind of king queens and stuff, so it pretty much is just, and I mean it's kind of ace 10 possibly, but I think that, yeah, he could definitely be netted here, but he could also be kind of trying to minimize variance. And again, like I was saying, this does look strong enough that anything worse than this, I think we're happy to fold. So it's not like he's just going to get owned here by flatting ace 10 suited, get shoved on, and then he can fold pretty happily, I think. I think also, yeah, he is probably slightly more likely to be netted, but again, given our price and given the chance that we could he could get an awkward flop here that he doesn't want to bet us off, we could get all 5 cards. So I think, yeah, just about good enough to call here, even against what we should probably assume is I'm going to give this guy credit if it's a close decision, but I do think that this could be his strategy for looking as strong as he can with a hand that really he wants me to fold with. So yeah, I think we probably have just about enough equity to flick it in here. We do call, and he bets half his stack, which I really don't like. I think if there is a chance for me to make a hero fold is when he does something like this. So I think pretty easy fold. I mean, like I guess I'm assuming maybe like 7s, 8s, 9s by this kind of scared sizing. So was pretty surprised to see the kings. So yeah, maybe somebody like this that's making this kind of. I mean, I don't think it's horrendous sizing, but actually I do. I mean, compared to the pot, it's fine, but with his like half his stack, it's just never a bluff. So yeah, I think that maybe him betting something like 800 here would sort of maybe be a better plan. But I think I'm just, again, like I was saying, not really going to assume that this is a bluff ever. And I think if he did have a kind of ace-10 suited hand, he might be happy to just check that down rather than doing this. So anyway, I do give up, and the kings hold. So yeah, maybe a dubious call for me pre-flop there, but I think just given the fact that he can have hands that we have decent equity and we get to see 5 cards some of the time, it's okay. So here we get a pretty decent flop and decide to bet. And this is my worst decision in the video so far. I decided to check this perfect barrel card. I think there's a lot of kind of weak aces he may have decided to, or non-paired kicker aces, should I say? Sorry, I'm saying this badly. But I think there's a lot of kind of standard floats he's going to have, similar hands to mine, like king 10, 10 jack and stuff. And without spades, I think he's just going to have to fold those on the turn. And I think, given what we've seen from the last hand, I should just be barreling here. I think this is the perfect card pretty much. So I don't know really what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm intending on check raising. I don't really like that. Check calling is just kind of wasting my equity, I think, and momentum in the hand. We're just going to have to sort of make a weird river lead if we miss and want to try and win the pot, which doesn't make too much sense. So yeah, definitely a barrel missed here. He does check it back and now can't really rep much, so just decide to give it up. And I mean, maybe he would have called us here, having picked up a spade, but I mean, if he's calling with things like fours on this flop, I think that this just makes my check even worse on the turn, and yeah, should be at least barreling the turn and considering what we want to do on the river. Here we open the 7s and get no action. We go on a bit of a folding run under the gun open easy fold, and again, both with king jack. Let's see what happens with king 10. So again here, could defend deep enough and pretty enough hand, but again no antes, and again under gun open, which I just think again we're going to probably end up having to make some pretty hard folds or ugly calls, and just again decide to kind of keep my 60x or so and move on. And let's see, I'm with the queen jack. So we open the queen jack off, and we do get squeezed by this guy. He just has a few too few chips for me to click this back and fold, I think. We're just going to be getting probably too good a price. I mean, I could make this sort of 1800, but I just feel like this flat should be fairly strong in the first place against this open with no antes. And yeah, I just would get... I think it's a bit... We're just going to get shoved on too often when we do click this back here by somebody as aggressive as this. I mean, it's an option. I think if you had 6.5, 7k, I'd be happy to click this back and fold to a shove, but we do just fold. We'll see how this one plays out. So he just defends and check folds. So I'm guessing some kind of 10s, 8s, 7s, something around there. Maybe a kind of like ace-queen off or ace-queen is suited, something. But I mean, if he knows or has the kind of sample size that we have, I think all those kind of hands are a fairly easy shove over the top of this guy's squeeze there, probably. But maybe I don't recognise this having been here for a while. So do we open any of those? So here, a bit of a light open with the ace-4 suited, but we get it through. A couple of hands later. Pretty close spot here. I think I will assume his range. So we have the ace queen suited, and I think like he